Hi everybody, this is Brad Dyke. How are you doing today? And today is going to be a PC workload video. I am still working on the miniaturization, the maximized miniaturization NAS model build out still, and I haven't quite finished that because I'm doing a lot of other work. But today we're going to be talking about a couple of things related to that work that's kind of got me sidetracked for now, and I just want to bring these up to you to show you them because it's kind of an interesting little topic. So today we're going to talk about a Dell Inspiron class 24 3455 array. Now this is not a normal computer. This is an all-in-one. So if you look at the back of it, it's very thin. You can see down here that it has a basic bus output on the back end for USB and all your device connections, and then of course on the side it has more outputs for input-output. It's using a Bluetooth combination of mouse and keyboard to accomplish the things that are going to be working in it. And here, as you can see, is a fairly straightforward standalone environment with a CD-ROM drive on the side. And what we're dealing with here is this system is aged. Now these were around quite some time ago, I think roughly about 6 or 7 years ago. And I think actually it could be as far as 8 years ago. And it's a higher end i3. It's PQF on board. It's another one. That means it's soldered on the motherboard. It uses Soho DIMMs, and it's basically the structure of a extremely low profile PC, not to be confused with a laptop, and that it's got some scalability to it, but it's not really great. So, with that being said, this is a computer that belongs to somebody who will be soon joining my family as the fiance of my son. And when I solved the situation with this computer, I said, wow, that is really dog slow. What's wrong with this machine? That was the question in my head. And I started investigating it, and I found several problems with it. And of course, the very first thing that was crucial is it has a mechanical hard drive. So I said, hey, let me take the computer. I'll take it to my home, my lab, and I will make sure your data is safe. That's the biggest issue. Because I have pictures and photos and documentation and stuff like that that's valuable to them, and get that backed up. And then once that's done, do a few series of upgrades on the all-in-one platform so that it has some more life, because they're not major PC users, they are just users, and that's fine. So let's first talk about the Inspiron 3455 chassis, the Inspiron 24 3455. There's also a series of 4s and 5 series as well. I think there are very few 4s, but lots of 5s. And it's basically an inclusive model that uses the next step down from small form factor. It's still a logical, true pathway motherboard opposed to a laptop motherboard, which is a split busing kind of strategy. So it has some pretty good processing pathways in comparison to like a laptop. So that's what it has good for it. Now, what it doesn't have so much for it is, unlike a PC tower, that gives you a lot of feasibility, upgradability, and so on and so on. That's not the case here. The upgradability is mostly to the SATA side, hard drive, CD-ROM side, mostly. Can't upgrade the video card. You can't change out the I/O bus. You don't have a PCIe bus to work with to add additional I/O if you wanted to. It's all PQF, of course. That means it's soldered on board. You can't pop out a processor and put another one in that's really functional for like video interfaces and so on. And all in general, it's a fairly limited machine, but you can add more memory, and it's fairly flexible with that. It's only rated for 16 gigs, but I have a funny feeling with the latest firmware update, I could probably get up to 32 gigs. But the truth is, you don't really need 32 gigs. So we'll stick with 16 gigs in this case. What is also very important, since it has a SATA 6 gig pipe, we need to maximize the data I/O throughput by transitioning away from the mechanical slow hard drive to a true SSD high performance. This is a series MX500 Crucial, which is a really great drive. Used it many times. Performance is spot on. It doesn't have to be ultra fast because it's a SATA 6G, so you're not going to get any more than what you're going to get. SSD drives maximize most of those controllers I/O-wise. So for your IOPS, you're just going to get pegged and that's it. That's really great. Now, the first thing I've done with this machine, of course, is using my very powerful NVMe test-bedded mobile drive, 4 terabytes right here, in a very tiny little device, which is excellent, by the way. So I took all the backup, I took all the data, including all their critical stuff, and put it on this. Now, this is not a backup of the image of the drive. I'm going to be using the Crucial software that comes with the hard drive, which is really cool. Sorry for the interruption there. It's on the package set that comes with the hard drive. So as you get it, you'll have this guy, and the software is really easy to use. It can take the old hard drive and the new drive on another system, and you can then ghost them, ghost one from the mechanical drive over to the Crucial. Now, this software is not free. You've had to have bought a Crucial drive, and it will look for the Crucial SSD drive or a Crucial drive of any kind, and before it will allow you to use the software. So it's not a free piece of software for you to utilize. Now, with that being said, I'll be taking the 3455 apart and to allow us to be able to begin to see how basically complex it is and it isn't at that point stage. So I'm going to reposition the camera so that you can see that, and you can see the tools at which we'll use in that regard to be able to get us to a good place to free up the back panel, expose the hardware, and so on and so on. Stand by. Okay, so now what we're going to be basically doing is we are going to be dismantling this back panel by removing the back leg first, and then we're going to be elevating and releasing this panel section here to free up the actual area of this back panel so that we can see what's underneath it. So the very first thing we have to do here, hold on a second, let me adjust this. There, that should be better. Now, so what we're going to do here first is we're going to carefully ground out ourselves so that we are not at risk. By grounding yourself out, you are able to put yourself in a situation where you're not going to statically discharge a potentially damaging shock to the system. And so what I've done here now, after I've grounded myself out, is I've removed this panel section. I'm going to put that right there for now. And it's going to expose the 2 Crucial screws right here. If you look at those, there are just 2 mounting screws right there. This is a pivot hinge sectional. So when I take this off, it should free up pretty easily. This has to come off first, no matter what, because it actually acts as a restrictor to the back panel. This is the back panel, this white back panel. Now this should free up, and there it is. Now, if you look here, you'll notice what I mean. It's actually underclipped, and it underclips in regards to the actual panel section itself. So you can't really free up this panel correctly if you've got the leg connected to the system. So we'll set that aside for now. Now, that'll be the last time you need the Phillips for the most part. So what you need now is a standard straight edge screwdriver, and you're going to start the process of releasing the latches on the back panel. You can start to hear those releases to pop. Now you want to be careful. That's what you want to hear right there. And that's the release lock giving out. And there it is again. And then over here on this side, there you go. See if I can get that to go out a little bit more. A little bit more. There we go. Yeah. So we're getting the panel to release, and it will free itself up. This is the top panel. This is the RF shielding, this metal plating here, designed to keep the frequencies from this unit from getting any worse than it currently is. So now we're looking at this system to see how healthy is this system. And I notice there's a little bit of a buildup here, but the fan assembly is good. I'll clean that up just to make sure it's in good shape. And that does matter because if I'm going into the system, I want to make sure this is working correctly. Now, there are two Soho DIMMs here. These DIMM modules, as you can see here. And later I'll be putting two 8 gig sticks in here. There's only one 8 gig stick in there right now. And the other thing is this mechanical hard drive right here, which is a Western Digital 1 terabyte drive. And it's okay, but not really. That's the real fact of the matter is that it is limited in its capacity. Let's put it that way. So what we're going to do is we're going to replace that with another drive, which will be this guy right here. And he'll be going into the place of there, and that would allow us to be able to accomplish what we want to do. Now, they didn't actually use the 1 terabyte drive capacity, but to save money, I'm going to be putting in a 500 gig drive. We'll remove this and use this as an archive drive so they have it as a backup. But this is not a fast drive, and it does not perform well over time. So you want to make sure that you're transitioning it at some point in time. So with that being said, what we'll do next is we're going to go ahead and preset the configurations here. We're going to make some cable adjustments here. We're also going to do some cleaning to make sure that we're in good shape, that our fans, our dust buildup, our battery, everything checks out good. Why not? You know, next time you open this up, it might be 3 more years from now. So you want to make sure you do the due diligence. Now, this is a very small form factor motherboard, and the processor heat conduction pathway is right here, and it has the interface set up. It also has a chipset, which is on the underside. We can't see it here, but the chipset allows us to have the performance, and that guy is sitting right here. We can see the top part of that, and that's a Radeon video card that's in the system for this particular setup. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to remove the drive so I can start the process of cloning this drive over to the new drive and getting ourselves in a good place. So what we're going to do there is we're going to go ahead and release the locks on the drive carriage. And we're also going to free the connector up. All right, there we go. And this is just a release lock. So there's one screw that holds the drive in place, and that's it. Now I can take this drive somewhere else and begin the process of cloning it and putting it onto a much faster hard drive. Now the other thing I'm going to do here, because I'm a little worried about it, is this fan, this radiator fan. I want to make sure that it's in good shape too, so I'm going to remove it and I'm going to clear all that dust out to make sure that it's in good shape. And if you notice, it comes off really easy from the radiator set. There's your radiator set right here. This is your interface or your buffle, which it goes right up to, and it blows air through it. Now we're going to slightly pull this guy out here a little bit, okay, and then I'll put some air on that. If you notice, it's kind of clear through underneath. That's good. But we want to be very careful how we do this because we don't want to blow this way. If we do, then we're going to blow dust into the mechanism of the motor. We want to only blow this way, and we want to use what we call a kind of like a toothbrush setup. Here's what it looks like. This is the toothbrush right here. It doesn't have to be fancy. It can be just a basic human toothbrush, and we use that to loosen the dust nice and gently without distorting the motor assembly. Got to be careful. You don't want to do that. And you can flip this over, and you can carefully, I do this way, I put it on the side, and I'll brush away any spare dust that just needs to be out of the equation, because we don't want any dust to get blown downwards into the under cavity of this motor assembly here, because that can create a problem. So stand by for a second while I get some canned air. Okay, so now we've got ourselves some canned air here, and I'm going to pull the board back away a little bit, because we want to clean this right, but we don't want to put the dirt right back into, the actual setup itself. So Here I've got some typical inert gas style air cleaner, and it's designed to work with electronics. It doesn't carry or generate static electricity. And I just gently continue to allow that loosed up dirt that I created with the brush. Here's the brush. And, you know, dust is pretty clingy. See, it needs a little bit of TLC to make sure that you get what you need. And at this point in stage, you can see underneath that it's not clean. And that's okay, that's expected, because there are two aspects to a fan, the underside and the overside of the blade. And again, you want to stimulate movement on the dust to make the dust want to move. And then, now you're going to be tempted also to hit the fan with direct air at high volume. Don't do that. You run the risk of potentially causing some problems on that. So you don't want to do that. So what you got now is a nice clean motor assembly. Rotate it. It should be independent of your motion. See how it's independent? Doesn't immediately come to a stop. It's got some play in it. That's what you want. Now I can put this back, and it's a minor little step, but it is a good step, and it keeps things in the right place. And I can put this guy right back into its operational state and get it to work again. So we'll do that now. So putting the first screw in will keep it pivoted, because you have a pivot point right here. It doesn't require a screw. It's just a dowel rod that keeps everything in place. Once you've got that done, then, and it's secure, you can add the final screw. And then it's secured again. Now, one other thing you can do for this setup as well, let me bring this back into view so it's in the clear, is that you will notice that you might also have some dust accumulation on the board. Don't use a brush on your board. That's for being separated. Now what you want to do here is just gently apply air to dislodge any dust buildup that you might have. Huh, look at that. A dead stink bug inside this machine. That's pretty wicked. I will say that is not the only thing I've ever found inside a computer. Oh, and there's a dead fly. Huh. What do you do about that, huh? Yeah. Huh. All right. Well, it's a warm computer, so that makes sense. Bugs gravitate to warmth, just like anything else. Now, what you've got here is a clean CPU fan. You've got the CD-ROM drive. We've got the RAM upgrade, which we'll do later. And we've got the hard drive. So now the next goal is to prepare the hard drive. Now this is going to be a separate video that I'm going to do here. But what I will do is I'll go ahead and do the exchange on this and to show how easy it goes back into the chassis for the disassembly and the reassembly of the system at this level. So what we'll do now is we're going to clear the chassis feet for the lock-in. This can be a little tricky. The reason why is because these screws have Loctite on them, and they do it on purpose because, you know, it helps prove that somebody's gone into the system and has replaced the drive or CD-ROM drive, and technically that would void the warranty. But due to the age of this system, the warranty is long gone, so that's not going to be a problem. So I've decided to step up to a number 3, since these are actually real hard drive screws, which is good because a lot of times they're not. They're usually, they are hard drive screws, but their heads, the Phillips heads, are very small, and that can be a problem sometimes. Now normally what I would do in a case like this is a Windows 10 system that has not been updated in a long time. I have updated it. There's the separation. So now we're going to put this guy in its place. And we'll get it reset up here. This one screw will keep it in place for everything else and it'll be in good shape. Then what I do is I kind of cheat. I will put it down on its baffle side. Let me go ahead and lock this down. Okay, now it's locked down. Now I can put it on its baffle side, and then I can put the screws in it real easy from this point on, which is not always as easy as you think, because these are head-on screws, and to line them up is kind of a problem. And for this video, I'm showing this work near the motherboard, but I never ever really do the hard drive work like this directly over a motherboard, because you don't want it to strike this motherboard assembly or short out a CMOS or something like that. But for this video, this one-time video, I am doing this for an example. Now, the nice thing also about SSD drives, which is not really great for hard drives that are mechanical, is, you know, they can pretty much take a drop really easy because they're surprisingly light. There's no moving parts. There's no jarring effect. Matter of fact, they don't even have G sensors in these things. They're just so durable. Now this will go back into its home, as you can see here, and lock in. And I'll put the buttress connector on it. And we are ready to put the locking screw in, keep everything where it needs to be. And it is also a hard drive screw, which is good. All right, I'll remove the hard drive because I still have to take the steps to back it all up, but I don't want this exposed. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure this is healthy, and if I look at it carefully, and you should do this, take your brush and stir up the frozen dirt and dust on the overhead panel, because if you don't, it will end up repopulating the dust, and you're gonna clear it all off, and it's gone. Now it looks like just basic metal, and it's in the clear. But if you look carefully here, really closely here, you've got dirt and dust here too. So it's advantageous to go ahead, and I'll do this on the side here for a second. Sorry for not showing you this, but I'll show it to you in a second. I am freeing up all of that stuffed dust with just simply running through the air canal areas where the dust accumulates from and stays. And then I'll use the can again to make sure I've gotten rid of all the dust I can get rid of. Now, it's better. It's not great. Let me get a towel real quick. So, to finish it, you can take a towel and look for the dust. You're doing the white test basically. You just go through it all, and you're just touching everything you can to make sure that you've got it, and it's pretty much white. So I think I've done a pretty good job of hitting all the key points. Now at this point in stage, what I could also do if I wanted to, especially if it was a warmer time of the year, I would just take this outside and wash it with soap and water. And the good news is they never took the plastic sheen off this back panel, so the back panel on the plastic is in great shape. So that's a real perk. Now that we've got this basically really decently good and clean, I'm going to go ahead and reassemble this. And I'm going to put the butt lattice lock in. Okay, we're locked in good. And we're going to put our screws back in. And the reason why I'm doing this is because I need to work on how my next steps are going to be, and that is obviously to clone the hard drive, which we need to clone. I'm going to keep this drive, and I'm going to put it in a shell casing, and they can have it permanently for backup of their old records, and they can store it away. And as long as it's not being used regularly again, because this is a 5200 RPM drive, I believe, or 7200 RPM. I'm not sure yet. I'll have to look it down, check it. I can't really read that well without my glasses, but it's slow. So it can go into a USB case housing, very similar to my NVMe case housing right here. And it would give me the ability of giving them back a backup device that they can use for future use while, like I do, and they have the SSD high performance like they need, and giving brand new life to this machine. And I'm going to put the seal panel back in right here. Open this up, and this goes right here. And now we're done. So the next step is to begin to review a couple of other things real quick. So the next video I want to do is going to be the process of how I'm using a crucial hard drive to do the copying process and what the application is and so on that I use to accomplish this. It's really cool and it's really neat. I don't have the memory upgrades yet, the 2 8 gig sticks. They're coming, and they're a higher speed ratio of the 1600 series DDR3s versus the standard 1300s, at which that one SO-DIMM was set to. So the overall value of being able to open this up, work on it, and close it back up is part of this process, which we're doing here, so that when they get back that computer will be liquidly fast, give them at least another few more years of life on a system that actually fits really nicely in a nice cubbyhole somewhere and does them justice in regards to what they do daily, which is like home documentation, pictures, multimedia stuff, like things like that, or that grandmothers and mothers do for their families. So with that, I'm going to end this video here, and then I'll start the video for the hard drive transition, and we'll take it from there. I will let you guys go. Thank you, and God bless.